Hey, everybody. Welcome to my session, Your Website Audit in a Nutshell. YM, YL, EAT, LSI, what does it all mean? HTTPS, HTTP, oh my gosh, there's so much lingo in this category that's so confusing. And really, it's above a lot of people's heads. So we're gonna get into this session and dive into the website audit report that you were able to pull at time of registration. So make sure you have it in front of you because we're going to go over it together. And we're going to translate this website audit report to English for you. Here we go. So who is this session for? Basically, this session is for any IT owner, any marketer of an IT company, if you're MSP, even if you're a break fix and you have a website audit or a website and you want to get audit, this is for those people who want to increase the efforts of their SEO, okay? When you think of SEO, you have to think of many different categories. And what happens is a lot of people get confused on what SEO really provides. They think maybe it's just SEO that are backlinks, or they think it's just keywords and meta tags, or maybe it's just on-page content. There are different categories to SEO and there's different levels to SEO. This website audit session is basically the beginner level of SEO. And I mean by beginner, not by beginner as in beginner stages of knowledge. No, this is the beginning stage of where you should start to take your SEO efforts, because this is basically your foundation. If you don't have this, all of the other efforts that you do go out the window. So this is your foundation of where to begin to start your SEO efforts. So if this is you and you want to make sure that your SEO efforts are getting noticed and you're getting ranked, this is where you need to start. Your marketers, IT owners, if you're doing it all yourself, this is what you need to watch. So in the next 30 to 40 minutes, at least I believe it'll be next 30 to 40 minutes, you will learn how to understand your website audit, why your site health matters, and what steps you should take to fix it, pretty much, and how important the errors that you see there in your site audit, how important the warnings and maybe not how important the notices are, and how to fix them. We're going to dive deep into that. And what your score means. So you're thinking, a website score, what is this score? How does it rated? What does it mean? What do they use to create the score? We're going to talk about that. And then pretty much understanding how Google views your website and how it will help build your SERP strategy. So stay tuned. This is really important. Why technical SEO is the foundation of any SEO strategy, okay? This is your foundation. This is where you need to begin. My promise to you during this session is a step-by-step guide to increasing the health of your website and increasing your SERP. If you don't know what SERP is, it's search engine results page. Everybody wants to get on that one page, right? This is really important for every business. This is what you need to do first to get to that point. There's steps you have to take. We're going to talk about that. So does this sound like you at this moment, after you've heard everything I have to say? Did you spend thousands of dollars on a website that had no SEO optimization and you thought it did and it didn't? This is where you need to be. Did you build your website from a builder and realize that you basically built your website without considering technical SEO? This is technical SEO that we're talking about here. This is your foundation. When you go into the builder and you start plugging away, drag and dropping, you don't realize the technical SEO part of it unless someone consults with you about it. So hopefully you will take this information in before you go and build your website. Now, and did you buy your website from a marketing company that offers cookie cutter websites? Think about that for a minute. If you went to an agency and you bought these cute cookie cutter websites, these frames, they're not considering technical SEO for you. This is something you have to build from yourself, from scratch. This is your foundation. And how I like to look at it is this is a home that you're building from scratch. You have the flooring, you have the walls, you have the roof. Then you go in there and you start to do the interior design. That's called on-page SEO, and we'll get into that in a minute. But this is your architectural design at this moment. Now, did you write your content for your website and wonder why the content is not ranking on Google searches? This is why. You didn't consider SEO technical first. You went directly to on-site, on-page SEO. That's not going to work. And did you receive your complimentary site audit now? And now you're wondering if you need to learn how to do it or hire someone to do it. I will tell you, it's very, very time consuming. We're going to get into that. I'm going to try to make this very easy for you so that you can go and do this at home. And are you tired of seeing your competitors outrank, and I'm sorry for my typo before anybody calls me out on it, outrank you, but don't have the time to do anything about it? Yes, we all see that. We're all looking at our competitors. We're all looking onto that one page of seeing who's ranking above us. Most likely they did their technical SEO first. Are you secretly terrified that you will not take this information and apply it when we are done? Yes, most of us are probably terrified of it. I would be if I were in your shoes, not knowing what to do. But because I'm on this end, I understand where you're coming from. And then the result being the health of your site continue down a downward spiral, making it almost impossible to fix, and then eventually having to build your site from scratch. So it's so important to get in front of these errors before they become a monster. So I'm so glad you're here. You're making your first steps to making your website better. Now, we all know what the real problem is, okay? So coming from this point, when you're done with this session, the real problem you're probably going to have is procrastination. And as Benjamin Franklin used to say, because I know him well, you may delay, but time will not. How many times have we heard that quote? So procrastination is everything, guys. Like I'm so guilty of it. I'm telling you, I'm very, very guilty of it myself. But with website technical SEO, you cannot procrastinate. I've learned that you cannot. So, and I didn't know this before. It's just, being in marketing, this is the things you learn. And this is why you're here watching us, so that we can teach you. So once you decide to take the next step, you'll learn those wasted thousands of dollars you spent on non-SEO optimized site back to having value. You'll be tackling this priority that was never really a priority, and you'll feel great about it. You'll be able to take your cookie cutter website you got from a cookie cutter agency and turn it into a lead generator. You'll look at your website with pride, knowing your site is exactly where it should be and how it got there. And you'll understand your site audit report, and you'll be able to fix your errors. And also, if you don't want to fix your errors, hire someone to do so intelligently. You don't want to be taken advantage of. You want to know exactly what they're talking about and what exactly you're trying to portray. So this is going to help you, because you don't want people taking advantage of this. When it comes to SEO, there's so many agencies that can take advantage of you, and we definitely don't want that for you. And you'll have the joy of seeing your business outscore your competitors. So that's a big thing. Let's do this. Now, who am I? All of you know me as SEO guru of Chartech marketing, right? But you don't really know my background. My background comes from many different facets, but since I was 15 years old, I have been in sales or marketing. My experience comes from many different industries. I started out actually telemarketing. It seems to be very easy for me. I got out of telemarketing. I went into banking. I ran Bank of America's sales platform for 6 years. And then I got into real estate and commercial real estate, and I sold that. And then I basically got into marketing, and I built my own business, which requires sales and marketing. I marketed it. I sold every deal myself, created all of the social media platforms myself. And then I started a non-for-profit dog rescue. And that too is a bunch of sales and marketing in itself. So you're trying to get money from people. You have to market these dogs that you have to raise money for. And then, with my own business, it's being business to business. I had to market my own business. I had to sell my own deals. That takes years. So mind you, I may not have been part of Chartech for lots of years. I may not have been part of the MSP industry for lots of years, but I do have a very long background in sales and marketing. So that's who I am. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm an absolute expert at website SEO or SEO on-page SEO, but I'm going to apply and teach everything I have learned to you. So here we go. Understanding your website audit. Take out your audit that you received, and if you didn't, there is a link in your digital workbook where you can go and pull one quickly, and so this way you can follow along. So the first thing you're going to see is your score. Now, your score, to paint a picture for you, like as I was saying earlier, technical SEO is the foundation of any SEO strategy. Every house needs a solid foundation, and taller houses require better foundations. So the same can be said about your website. With Site Audit Health, measuring how stable the foundations of a site is and getting that stronger foundation will only help any other efforts to build up your site. So this is basically a clear understanding of the state of what your site is in and what you need to do, what plan you need to put in place to increase the overall health of your website. It can also help compare your website on-page SEO to direct competitors. It's a great way to monitor your site ongoing and over time. And just know your SEO efforts can take weeks or months before seeing any major results on the SEO, on the SERP page. So let's talk about what this score means. As you can see, you see your score, you'll see your errors at a glance, you'll see your warnings and your notices. The main thing you want to pay attention to are your errors. And the errors can lead into all of those warnings that you see. And it could be as simple as making sure your certificate, updating your PHP, could be broken links, but we're going to get into that momentarily. After this, I'm going to actually send you over to our rep from SEMrush. This is the tool that we use to analyze your website. It does much, much more than just website auditing. So we use it for a lot of different purposes. But this tool is proprietary to SEMrush, and I do have a dedicated rep that I meet with on a weekly basis to basically teach me everything that I'm teaching you. He is going to go ahead and come on and give you a high-level overview of exactly what this is and pertain to. And then you and I are going to dive right into that right after his message here.
Hey guys, my name's Dan and I'm a customer success manager here at SEMrush. I wanted to take a moment to walk you through an overview of our site audit tool. Now the SEMrush site audit is basically a powerful website crawler that allows you to analyze the health of your website. It provides a list of issues and makes it really easy for you to find exactly where it is that your website may be struggling. And fixing these issues is meant to help you boost the SEO of your website. When you run your first site audit crawl, you're going to get a list of errors, warnings, and notices. We're looking for over 120 different on-page and technical SEO checks, ranging from surface level to more in-depth issues. Now, when you come in here, you may see a lot of big numbers on the overview. How to prioritize this? I recommend diving into the errors first. These are going to be things that are most pressing to your website's health, things you definitely don't want to build up. Same thing with the warnings, they're also pretty important. They're not as pressing as the errors, but definitely things we don't want to ignore. The more of these issues that build up, the harder it's going to be for us to get a grip on our website health. When we're ready to really dive in and get a list of the issues that we were able to find, we can go ahead and actually click on the errors here. That'll hop us over to the issue tab where we can find exactly what those issues are on the site, and clicking into them is actually going to tell us exactly where they live on our site as well. This makes it really easy for us to go in there and make the necessary changes to boost our site health score. One thing I really love about the site audit as well is the flexibility in settings. I can come up to the settings icon in my report at any time, change my report scope. I can even limit the amount of pages that SEMrush sees. I can also remove different URL parameters and sections of my site, so I'm really in control over what areas of my website that SEMrush is auditing. Now, domains come in all shapes and sizes, so finding the biggest needs for a website can be a little bit different of a story for everybody. Now, no matter what type of site you have, it's really important that you keep it organized and you maintain good site health. This way you can keep those good rankings and you can keep people coming to your site and leaving happy. So I hope to see you guys using this site audit tool in the future. There's really a lot of great insights in here that can help make sure that your site is as good as it can be.
Okay, this is the case study that I wanted to present to you. This is actually one of our member sites that we decided to run this SEO, technical SEO fixer-upper, so to speak. All right, this case study, this website audit was pulled on April 25th. When we started on it, it was at a 59% score. 59% site health, which is pretty low. And again, a little bit later on, we're going to talk about what the scores mean exactly and why you should fix them. Typically, when we run an SEO report, we crawl 100 pages. Now, SEMrush has a bot that crawls every one of these pages, and I could set the settings to run 100 pages or 600 pages. Typically, 100 pages is more than enough for us to understand what's going on with your website. You'll see there's 85 errors, 6,466 warnings. Whew. That is so overwhelming to see as it is. You're thinking to yourself, wow, 59%, 85 errors, 6,466 warnings. How am I going to ever fix this? So just keep in mind that most of those errors that you fix, which is why the errors are the key component of these 3 steps you want to take to fixing. This is the most important, because once you fix those errors, it's going to follow up with the warnings and everything's just going to get better after that. It's just like a domino effect. Okay. So let's go back into the 3 main categories. So for this particular website audit, and mind you, every website audit is different. Not everyone is created equal. If the parameters are going to be different, there's going to be different issues on your website audit versus another one. So for this particular case study, we're going to go over theirs. Okay. There are over 150 common website issues that you can possibly have. That's a lot. And yes, it is overwhelming. This is all overwhelming to listen to. So I'm hoping that all of this information is going to help you and go back and tackle these errors, because this is so important when it comes to SEO. Everybody's going digital. We know this. And if you don't get on top of your technical SEO now, all of your other efforts, the keywords you use for your blogs, your meta tags, your making sure your titles are correct, all of that just goes out the window. What about all the ad spending that you're doing? I mean, if you don't have the technical SEO completed yet, it's not going to matter. They're going to fight against each other. So just hopefully this is a first step to get all of that done. So these issues are weighted in 3 different categories. You have errors. These are the most impactful issues that should be addressed first, right? And now you have your warnings. Your warnings are issues of medium impact and should be addressed not as urgently as errors, but they definitely should be addressed. But again, as I mentioned before, once you complete your errors, then a lot of your issues, your warnings will go down. And then your notices. Your notices are not dangerous, but very important instances to be aware of. The more dangerous errors, such as broken internal links, they contribute towards your site health score and more than any warnings, okay? So notices like external links with no follow attributes do not impact the score at all, since they're not usually indicative of any error, but they are included to keep you fully informed of the foundation, of your site's foundation. Hopefully that's explained here. But you'll see here the top issues with this specific site audit. They have issues with their expiring certificates. So this is why it's always important to keep your certificates up to date. And they have 7 pages of duplicate content issues. We're going to get into that a little bit. And then they had 42 issues with duplicate title tag issues. So this is why you got to make sure everything's in a uniform format. That's the on-page SEO of it. So not all errors and warnings are weighted the same, as I mentioned before. In general, the more critical error to the website, the more impactful it is to your site health. So there could be a case where a specific warning has a 10-fold weaker effect than a specific error, okay? And examples of that would include incorrect page sitemap. Sitemaps, you have no idea how many times we've got a member with the missing sitemap. Sitemaps are the map to your SEO. This is how Google reads your website and how they're able to rank your pages. If they don't understand where they're going, it's not going to rank. So sitemap, not having a sitemap is critical. This can also confuse the search engine on deciding which page to show first or which page to show at all. Broken pages generate broken links. So you can redirect broken links with a 301 redirect, which you probably have no idea what that means. What the hell is a 301? Totally get it. I'm right there with you. But if the site doesn't update the links, this means that users following the links will wait longer for the content. So until they are redirected to the desired page, that user isn't going to get to where they need to get to. And most importantly, that user isn't going to get to where you want them to get to. So this has to be very important to you too, not just the user experience. And then also keep in mind during a site migration, this can lead to chains of redirect. So this also makes signals of sitemaps and canonical errors weaker. So if you're ever transitioning to a new host provider or another agency who's going to provide this for you, just make sure that the transition is smooth. Make sure you discuss that transition and how all of those errors will get fixed in the time of that transition, or making sure those errors don't even begin, because pages will get redirected when that happens. Just keep that in mind. It's not as smooth as pushing a button and it's all over there. It's definitely a process. So diving into the issues, the 42 issues with duplicate title tags. So duplicate title tag, well, let me back up a little bit. Our crawler, the crawler in SEMrush, it's going to crawl the report pages that have the duplicate title tags, only if they are exact matches. So a duplicate would be title tags that make it difficult for search engines to determine which of the website pages is relevant, right? So obviously, if you have two pages with the same tag, the same title, Google's not going to understand where to send it to. How important is that when it comes to your services? You know, if you have duplicate title service tags, Google's not going to send people to your services because they don't know where, the bot doesn't know where to go. So that's really important to understand. That's why these are critical errors, okay? So also keep in mind that for a specific search query that Google is doing with your website page, it's trying to understand which one should be prioritized in the search results. Pages with duplicate title tags often have a lower chance of ranking, and well, you run the risk of being banned. So this is why it's so important. All right, so how to fix them? Well, if you end up pulling a full site audit report that our tool offers, and just so you know, this is not only offered with us. You know, you can pull a site audit report on a lot of different places. This tool is just proprietary to what it's capable of after the fact that you've pulled it. I just wanted to make sure I put that out there. But when you are going to fix it, just make sure you're providing a unique and concise title for each of your pages that contain your most important keyword. So now what that means is that when you are reading your content on that page, and you have to provide that keyword that's most important to you for that content. So if that page is MSP services, MSP business services, you have to understand that's going to be your keyword. But you also have to make sure that your title is matching that as well, because that's not how Google is going to understand where to go. It can't be as simple as services, right? That's not going to tell Google anything. So you have to make sure that you're having the right titles that are relevant to the keyword that you want to portray, the audience you want to bring in. Hope that's all making sense so far. Now, the duplicate meta description. So they have 34 pages that had duplicate meta descriptions. Your meta description, your meta description, back up a minute, is a tag that is a short summary of your web page's content that helps search engines understand what the page is about and can be shown in the user results. So think about this for a minute. You're over there on Google and you're searching, right? You see that small little summary that comes up. Well, that's matching their search results. But when you click on it, you don't find that summary anymore. It's kind of like, where'd it go? That's what I was looking for. That's your meta description. That's basically the bait to get them in, okay? Then they go to your page to read the rest of the content. So it's a little brief summary of the content overview. Now, if you don't have your meta descriptions if in there and at all, that's going to create a huge error, but having duplicates also confuses the system. So just keep that in mind. Now, duplicate content issues, they have 7 pages that have duplicate content issues. And I suspect what happened here is that they've created a new page and didn't either unpublish a page by chance, or they created a new page with different content and had the same title, or vice versa. So there are only 7 of them, but you have no idea how much of an impact that will make on your website if there are any of them. This tool tells you exactly where they are. It links it exactly to where you need to go. It gives you both links, which both pages have duplicate title contents, whether it's 2, 3, 4. It will tell you everything. This report is by far one of the most detailed reports. It could be extremely overwhelming, but it gives you exactly every single link of where everything is located so that it could guide you on how to correct all of those errors. And then we talked about the issues with expiring and or expired certificates. Now that's going to be a big one too. So just always making sure that your certificates, your SSL certificates are up to date. All of your plugins are up to date. That is all important when it comes to your technical SEO. All right, so going back to our case study here. Now, remember I told you we pulled the report on April 25th and you saw the site health was at 59%. You saw there was 89 errors. This is May 7th. So it's like, less than 2 weeks away. After going in and correcting much of those errors, we've brought the site health percentage back up to 70%. And then we've got the warnings down from over 6,400 warnings down to 3,500. Yes, 56 errors are still a lot, but as I mentioned earlier, it takes time. This isn't just a quick fix. This is probably a good 30 to 45-day process for someone who is just diving right deep into it. I totally get, for marketers and IT owners, they don't have the time for this already. And that is completely understandable. But this full site audit report will give you a whole understanding of what steps to take next. So you can actually gradually work on them, but the errors are the most important that are pressing at the time. So let's talk about what the score means in more detail. So you have your site audit, which is below 50%. This basically means your on-page SEO essentials are not optimized. You have dangerous technical issues. You have sites with low health that may have problems that prevent proper crawling and indexing by Googlebot or could even be completely excluded from your SERPs altogether. We don't want that at all. Now, what you should do is in order to complete a successful, and we recommend creating a plan for massive improvements. The fix of all errors method is fine for some small sites, but for the larger ones, you're going to really need to put a large plan together. Now, when I say larger websites, I would consider Chartech to be a large website. MSPs, they're more of a smaller website, which it would be easier to maintain, to fix and then maintain. Now, the 50 to 70% category range is where your site is kind of optimized, but not really. It's slowly getting there. Still definitely needs improvement. So the technical quality of the site should be very important into your SEO strategy going forward. And the way to fix those is after analyzing the current situation, identify those individual critical errors and eliminating them. Now, I haven't seen a site lower than 50 out of all of the sites we've pulled and worked on. So this would be a very, very low optimized site. But the majority of the sites that come our way are in between the 50 to 70% range. Then taking early measures to create a good basis for the entire strategy in the future. And then, of course, the extra steps may be included is the work plan, depending on the priority. So it's prioritizing those. What can you tackle first? Well, in like the previous slide, you saw the expired certificates. That is something that you can immediately do. Don't wait on those. Then you would see how your site would improve after that. Now, your site health is between 70 and 90%. That's great. That means you have over 50% of issues have been solved. That's pretty good. It's in the lighter green area. There are many errors in it, but there's room for a lot of improvement and optimization. And there's a potential for improvement on better ranking results. Now, what you should do if you have a site audit in front of you that's in between the 70 and 90, Some errors that are on there could be bottlenecking and might be preventing you from reaching the top position. So focus on spotting those bottlenecks, and then create a strategy for this kind of site that could be prioritizing and finding those bottlenecks. Now, if your site is over 90%, kudos to you. You did it right. And most of your issues are solved. So in this case, if you are in the over 90% case, then best thing to do is create a maintenance plan. Okay, so if there are any errors, definitely fix them, but work on a plan of action moving forward on how you will keep your site increased, keep your site healthy, and creating a plan to make sure that you're always constantly checking your site and making sure it stays over 90%. And actually, this tool does that for you automatically. So it'll send me updates, me mostly because I use it all the time, sends me updates on what the site is at, what errors occurred, because errors can occur all the time. Just because you have your site at over 90% doesn't mean something else can happen suddenly tomorrow. So just keep in mind a maintenance plan for that. Okay, so now you have it. On May 14th, we pulled this site audit score again. You saw that it went down. We started out 59%, and now it's up to 75%. We are getting there. We're so close. We're going to probably need to focus on all of the on-page SEO now, and then we'll fix some errors. But I will tell you that these errors are related to PHP not being updated inside of the cPanel. So because we have been working on this specifically pertains to that. Your PHP not being updated. So it can be as simple as that, but there's nothing else that we can do on our end if that's not updated on their end. Or if we're managing that, if we're hosting it, in this case, we weren't hosting it, then perhaps you got to go to your hosting provider and ask them how you get that updated. Okay. So we're down to 3 errors. We're down from 6,500 warnings down to 3,300 warnings. I don't remember what the notices were, but we're going to find that out in our comparison. So moving to the next slide here, this tool will actually tell you, give you compare crawls. Okay. It's going to tell me the fruits of my labor. What are we doing? What we did, where we started, and where we're at now. So you can see how many pages we crawled. It started with 100. You can see the site health. It started at 64. Well, technically it was 59. And then now it's 75. You'll see the total issues went from 6433 to now 3579. So we're in the green now. We're good. Or we're in a great place. The total errors went from 79, really it was 89 as you saw, down to 3. And then you had your warnings from 6,200 over to now 3,300. So we're in the green. We're doing good. We're getting this website health back to where it should have started. So this is how we determine our work from start to finish. We can actually show you what we're doing and be very exact with it. So this is a great tool that we use. And if you want to utilize it, there is, if you turn to your digital workbook, there is an insert there. If you want to pull your full site audit report, you certainly can. And that's in the workbook too. So how do you get your site healthier, right? So first you're going to need the full site audit report. Again, there's a link in the digital workbook where you can go pull your full site audit report. Just keep in mind to be patient. It is a manual process. It isn't just entering your domain and your email and getting your overview. This is a manual process. It does take a bit of time to pull this full site audit report. Now, once you have that, you'll be able to tackle all of your errors and warnings. And then you'll need to decide if you want to either take on the task of making your site healthier or outsourcing the task, right? Most of us don't have time to do that, right? We don't have time to tackle all of those errors. And, it can get overwhelming. There's no doubt about it. So if you want to take on the task, there's a link to help you do that in the digital workbook. And then go right at it. I'd love to hear about it. If you end up doing it, please come back to me, send me an email and let me know what you've done and how your site has improved. I'd love to hear about your results. So again, let's go into the differences here. You have technical SEO and then you have on-site SEO. Technical SEO, here's the checklist, and this is in the digital workbook as well. We're just going to cover a few topics here because it is a bit longer, but look in your workbook. There is a checklist there that lets you understand exactly what technical SEO versus on-site SEO is. You have technical SEO as your sitemap, right? We talked about how important it is. And then you have mobile-friendly optimization. You have lack of duplicate or thin content. Quick loading pages is very important to technical SEO. So if you don't have quick loading pages, Google is not going to display it. And then you have your 404 errors, right? That's your duplicate content. So that is that's your broken links. Excuse me. That is basically the beginning part of the technical SEO part of it. You have the remaining checklist there, and then you have the on-site SEO. So on-site SEO are your list of target keywords. They're your SEO optimized titles, optimized on-page content, SEO-friendly URLs, optimized meta descriptions, and so on. So these are your on-page, on-site SEO efforts. You cannot start on-site SEO without doing your technical SEO. They're gonna fight with each other. So you need to start with technical SEO. So let's see here. So just to give you an idea, that 60% of all the clicks resulting from a search query are the first 5 organic results with a site that has their technical SEO completed. So just keep that in mind when you are working on that or even thinking about doing this for your website health. This pertains to your business. Again, everybody is going digital, and if you're not ranking, this is a big reason why. So I highly suggest you tackle this first. How can I help? Well, my team, our team, I've set aside some time in the next 48 hours to speak to you personally about how you can apply these steps to your website starting today. Now, whatever biggest challenges are, we've seen it and we know exactly how to overcome it. This is what CharTech is all about. We're here to teach you exactly the struggles we've learned to accomplish and helping you accomplish them without struggling like we did. So here's what we're giving back. On this call with our team member, you will work on reviewing your site audit and discussing the exact steps that you need to take to make your site healthy. And this is going to be the first step to SEO marketing. The cost, absolutely for you guys. This is for you. Again, we have these academies for you so that we can teach you and help you grow and see your successes. Your successes are ours, and we love to see them. We love to brag. We love that you brag about them. We love everybody bragging about their successes on our CharTech MSP page. It makes us so proud and so happy. So just know that this is at no cost to you. So feel free to head over and either put it in the chat, ask you for an appointment, or I'll be giving you a link momentarily. Now, who's this for? Again, it's for your marketers who are trying to improve your SEO. It's for IT companies, managed service providers who want to increase their SEO efforts. So if that's you, book a session and don't wait. You got to get your SEO technical done. And, if this is something that you want to do too, that's fine too. We know that you might want to help transform the SEO marketing long-term. And if so, we can discuss it and see if it's a good fit for both of us. And if not, that's okay too. We just want to make sure you're in the right direction. This is the link to go and schedule a call. Space is limited. As you know, we have a couple of people waiting for scheduling their appointments. So we're not 24 hours here, although that would be nice. And head to this link and get on the books. Sign up now. So what's next? I hope you guys enjoyed this session. It is a lot of information to take in. It is so overwhelming, especially when it comes to something so technical. So imagine how your clients must feel when they're talking to you. So head over to our live Q&A. We'll be able to see each other now, okay? This is going to be exciting. I'm going to be able to see your beautiful faces on screen and see your smiles. How great is that? We'll be able to take your questions. No longer do you need to ask your questions on chat, although do not stop asking questions on chat because me and engagement prizes. I'm going to still continue giving engagement prizes throughout the day. throughout the term of the Academy. And of course, make sure you are a part of the Chart Tech MSP group, because we will be having high value and prizes there. So make sure you head out there as well. Feel free to contact me on LinkedIn. There's my link. And then follow our pages. You know, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. So again, if you enjoyed this session, say yes, you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear about it. All right, guys, great seeing you. Great to see you soon. And thank you again for joining my session.